Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Game 2 of this Best of 3 series from the AMD Premier League 2. This is the qualifier finals for the Vietnamese region, and this is Game 2 between Gameware and 1st-Vietnam. As in Game 1, 1st-Vietnam managed to bring down the likes of Gameware. Gameware's lanes just didn't work out in any sense of the word, and that just left them in a really huge deficit that they just simply could not overcome. And this time 1st-Vietnam have the first pick, so we're going to have to see how they approach this ban phase. But Gameware have got to be feeling a little bit shaky, but now hopefully they've realized some of their mistakes, as hopefully they'll be able to create some of that and may go back into a defensive try rather than challenging with an aggressive try, and maybe make the game a bit more interesting, or not a bit more interesting, but make the game a bit more close. If they manage to lose a couple of their other lanes, at least they will have the defensive try in one. But yeah, first ban on the side of 1st-Vietnam will actually be the light stealer, and we'll see what Gameware responds to. Keep in mind, since Gameware do have the second pick, they're likely going to ban out the Barrier as well as the Wisp to deny it from 1st-Vietnam. I'm not too sure how big Wisp is in the Vietnamese scene. I'm not really that well acquainted with the likes of Wisp, but I gotta imagine since teams did ban him out in the previous game, they both respect his power by a sizable amount, as Gameware instead looked to ban out the Barrier. And 1st-Vietnam, we're going to have to see how they approach this ban. Treant has been trending very hard recently, but instead 1st-Vietnam going to ban out the Treant Protector, and Gameware going to immediately respond with the Wisp ban. And 1st-Vietnam, they did utilize the Gyrocopter, which was probably the highest tier heroes that they did manage to secure, so we're going to have to see if they're going to secure themselves a Gyrocopter once again, or may try to get the Rubik, since Rubik did play a nice job in the tri lane and was able to get a couple of solid spell steals off. So I don't know if 1st-Vietnam are looking to change things up, but they definitely have the option to do just that. But rather than Rubik or Gyrocopter, I think Darkser probably will be the option for 1st-Vietnam, so they can get their offlane choice right out of the way and may look to ban out the offlanes on the side of Gameware in response with their second ban phase as well as their third ban phase. And I mean, Gameware, they could potentially pick up heroes like Gyrocopter, but Darkseer is such a useful hero, but they are going to get themselves a Rubik. Really appreciating that Rubik in Game 1. Meanwhile, Gameware are going to immediately respond with the Shouting as well as Nick Assassin. So this has been their go-to support lineup. And Nick Assassin was rotated mid in the previous game, but I really feel like he didn't have that much of an impact in the early stages of the mid-game, where he should have an enormous impact, especially since the mid laner on the side of 1st-Vietnam was so dynamic, just ganking repeatedly over and over again. And it wasn't around till the 10-minute mark before Nick Assassin really left his lane. So if Nick Assassin is going to head mid, once again, he will have to try to be a bit more active, as 1st-Vietnam going to secure themselves a Gyrocopter. So this game is looking eerily similar to the previous game that we did watch, as these picks are practically identical, but Gameware, they should probably recognize that something seems the same, and they are going to respond accordingly. They will get rid of that pesky Weaver, and we're going to see if 1st-Vietnam going to respect that. May get rid of a hero like Visage. No, they're just going to go with their standard Luna ban. I don't know how many times these teams have played against each other, but I guess Luna is the choice for 1st-Vietnam, trying to mitigate that early pressure. And we're going to have to see if Gameware are going to once again challenge 1st-Vietnam with an aggressive try. And keep in mind, this time 1st-Vietnam is on the Radiant side, and the Dire can challenge the Radiant try lane a little bit more successfully.
5 seconds remaining.
So that might be good. But then again, the Radiant could have creep pulled, and they never did when they were on the aggressive. So that was a very unfortunate bit of news, as 1st-Vietnam will get rid of the puck. Meanwhile, Gameware going to get rid of the Templar Assassin, and Gameware still need to pick up the mid solo, assuming of course Nick Assassin does not go mid, which he could do. He did go mid in the previous game, but maybe they want to have more reliable mid. We're going to have to find out very shortly. It all again depends on the carry that Gameware do decide to go, and we're going to have to see what they decide to choose in this situation. But Darkser, interesting enough, is still in the pull, and both teams are lacking an offlane presence, so I've got to imagine Darkser is prominent in the minds of both teams, as he is still in the pool, and I'm just waiting for one of these teams to snatch him up, since he's a very stable offlaner. Can win pretty much every 1v1 situation, can go into the jungle if he's in over his head in 1v3 situation, but Gameware gonna get a bit more burst damage on the side, gonna get the Queen of Pain, a hero with a bit more mobility than the likes of Nick Assassin mid, and I like this choice great deal more than the Nick Assassin mid, just because you have that extra bit of burst damage that you were lacking. You have a lot more mobility, which I think the Gameware side was severely lacking, and Queen of Pain does give you both of those aspects in spades, and she can do a lot of damage against the likes of Rubik as well as Gyrocopter, who are very, very squishy heroes in general.
5 seconds remaining.
You know, 1st-Vietnam, we're gonna have to see how they respond. They did get rid of the puck, so they did get rid of one of Queen of Pain's worst matchups, but they are going to get the Visage themselves. May looking to deny it from the likes of Gameware, but I don't think Gameware would have tried since Nick Assassin will be utilized as support in this game. Maybe 1st-Vietnam are toying with the ideas of going an aggressive Trillion. I mean, they do have Rubik, Visage, and Gyrocopter, and as far as Gyrocopter Trillions go, this is one of the better ones since, of course, you can telekinesis people up into the air, and then Gyrocopter can just get in position to just rain death and destruction upon the opponents with his Rocket Barrage, and Soul Assumption, of course, does greatly benefit from the Rocket Barrage damage since it, of course, takes into account the damage distributed in an AoE rather than the damage distributed over to a single target, so that Soul Assumption could potentially do a lot of damage against the forces of Gameware's defensive Trillion. But Gameware have a pretty solid defensive Trillion. They have defensive Disruption, and they have defensive Nyx Assassin Impales, as Darkseer will be the choice by Gameware. And I gotta think that Gameware will run a defensive Trillion. Darkseer will be put in the off-lane position. And if 1st-Vietnam do decide to run an aggressive Trillion, Gameware are going to have to secure themselves a tanky carry. They might just go for Alchemist again, but I think it might be better off for them to pick up a range carry, since if 1st-Vietnam do go on the offensive, they will have 3 range heroes that can easily harass down any melee carry. As 1st-Vietnam going to secure themselves a Nature's Prophet, and this does indicate that they are going to indeed go for the aggressive Trillion, since Nature's Prophet, he is pretty strong in a 1v1 or 1v3 matchup since he can go jungle. But I've got to imagine that he will match up against Darkseer, and even though Darkseer does tend to be Nature's Prophet, since Darkseer, it's actually going to be very difficult for him to miss CS. I mean, Nature's Prophet shouldn't really be in any danger of being killed off by the Darkseer. You know, Gameware, all they're lacking is their K. Both teams lacking their K, so we're going to have to see what both teams decide to get rid of. Keep in mind, Gameware do have the first choice after this last ban phase is ended, but 1st-Vietnam have that ever and so important last pick in the game they could use to surprise Gameware. And 1st-Vietnam did surprise Gameware in the last game with the Tusk choice. I've got to imagine that they aren't going to go for Tusk this game. Instead, Gameware going to get rid of the Clockwork. Oh, 1st-Vietnam already have their carry, they have their Gyrocopter. So Gameware will once again secure themselves Alchemist. I'm not too sure if I like this, as in a defensive Trillion, being a melee hero, Alchemist, he can survive, but he doesn't have that good of an armor value, and he will be harassed quite easily by the likes of Rubik, Gyrocopter, and Visage. And the annoying thing about Gameware's Trillion is that, yeah, they have a lot of lockdown, but I don't know, Nick Assassin will really have enough mana to harass 1st-Vietnam out of the lane, and Xiaodian, he can hold people in place for a little bit, but that's all he pretty much can do until level 2. He can't really deal physical harassment, otherwise he will be in grave danger of being telekinesis. So I would have preferred if Gameware managed to get themselves a survival carry, a mobile carry, or even a range carry, so at least they can try to get some semblance of last hits. But I guess Gameware are just going with what they know, and this might be what they know in this game. As 1st-Vietnam still need to pick up their mid hero, and a lot of mid heroes have been removed from the pool, but maybe if 1st-Vietnam pick up something like a Night Stalker, then they could potentially gank very early on and just slam the Trillion of Gameware. And Night Stalker does do pretty well against Alexa, Queen of Pain, and Darkseer with that silence online. So I personally love Night Stalker in general. I mean, I'd advocate for him being picked up in any game, but 1st-Vietnam instead picking up the incredibly trendy Viper. And Viper against Queen of Pain, not a matchup you see every day, but I've got to believe that this matchup, with the recent buff, does favor Viper ever so slightly now. Before, I think it was pretty much even, but now I think it does slightly favor Viper, since, of course, Crow's Skin does tick into effect on magical attacks, and that means Queen of Pain, even if she drops Shadow Strike, will still take some form of rebuttal for her insolence. The unfortunate thing for Viper against Queen of Pain is that he will never be able to contest turns because Queen of Pain has Blink, Queen of Pain has AoE, and Viper, he's a slow, plodding, slug Drake thing that really can't do anything in regards to keeping up with rune control. But again, Viper doesn't really need runes since he doesn't really use that much mana. But introducing the players and teams once again, on the side of 1st-Vietnam, we are going to have Misa playing the Viper, Secret is going to be playing the Nature's Prophet, Yang is going to be playing the Gyrocopter, Top is going to be taking care of the Rubik, and YY is going to be playing the Visage. Me on the side of Gameware, we are going to have Ace playing the Queen of Pain, X is playing the Nyx Assassin, Star Ruby is going to be playing the Xiaodian, Fluang Na is playing the Alchemist, and Overwork is playing the Darkseer. And at this stage, wow, I thought for sure 1st-Vietnam would challenge with an aggressive jawline. But it seems like they are not in position to do just that, as Gyrocopter seems like he's intent on parking his rockets on the bottom lane. I'm not too sure if this is the best idea for 1st-Vietnam in the end,
The battle begins.
since I think they could potentially steamroll the try of Alchemist, Shadow Demon, and Nyx Assassin. It is difficult engaging into them, but when you have 3 range heroes against 2 melee heroes, and one of these melee supports does have a limited mana pool, I think using Aggressive Chine could actually benefit the raid a bit more, but now they're going to give Alchemist the opportunity to get a lot of free farm. And meanwhile in the middle lane, Viper could be in great danger. Again, he doesn't have much mobility, so if Gameware do rotate in with a gank, the Viper could potentially be in a lot of trouble. And the Radiant do not have any wards protecting the Viper whatsoever, so I feel like this Viper is going to be in a lot of trouble if the supports on the side of Gameware do decide to rotate themselves in. But I like what this Viper is doing. He's going to pick up that early level Corrosive Skin. Usually you pick up Nether Toxin at level 1 just to help you last hit. You can see that Viper is actually struggling a sizable amount because he did not secure that level Nether Toxin. But he's immediately putting that fear into Queen of Pain's mind, saying, alright, don't harass me. I just want to get myself established in the lane. And now he has gone back into Nether Toxin. And I personally like the Corrosive Skin being maxed as your first main ability way of playing Viper. Like, I know this is an odd build, but you get Nether Toxin level 1, Corrosive Skin at level 2, then get 3 points in Poison Attack, 1 point of Viper Strike, then max Corrosive Skin. But Corrosive Skin is so good now, and the amount of damage it does as well as the amount of slow is absolutely tremendous, especially since it applies to every physical and magical damage source that is applied towards a hero. It is just absolutely crazy of an ability. But if this Viper does decide to max Poison Attack and Nether Toxin over Corrosive Skin, I don't think I'd really blame him. You know, Gyrocopter against Alchemist just going to farm up. This looks to be a very passive early game. I don't think either team will look for kills, but I've got to imagine the Rainer are going to be a lot more defensive since they do have a Nature's Prophet in the jungle. And he's just going to be farming up these groups. Going to pick up that hand of Midas, being very greedy, going straight into the Midas Rush, and going to camp his butt on this high ground and just look to siege down these creeps with impunity. And there's really nothing these creeps can do about it. Unfortunately, for the creeps, no range creeps have spawned to really harass the Nature's Prophet back. Or if they did spawn, well, they got killed off very, very easily. But yeah, you're seeing the problem of this main lane matchup is because Queen of Pain will always have rune control, especially since the Raid don't have any wards protecting this top lane. Queen of Pain can pretty much always camp this bottom lane and just will be able to get every single rune because she has that extra mobility with the blink. She has a higher base movement speed, and she has an AoE creep clearing ability with the Scream of Pain. And there's really nothing Viper can do about it. But Viper, he doesn't really need runes again. I mean, he would if he wanted to gank, but I think this Viper is very much intent on farming up. You know, Alchemist farming up did get 2 points in Guerrilla's Grade, recognizing, okay, I'm not in a Tron vs Tron matchup. Gonna go for the more farming intensive build, which does make a lot of sense. Did miss CS there, but seems to be farming up pretty respectably at this stage. And it seems like 1st-Vietnam want to spark some form of rotation by the supports of Gameware. And Gameware don't really have the best turtling supports. They have Darks here, but it seems like there will be a smoke gank attempt on the middle lane. I think Viper will likely fall, but I don't know if this is going to be worth it, as Viper going to be journaling. The disruption will be cast, and I think Viper, he most certainly will die as the boot speed will go back online.
First blood.
As Darkseer going to secure himself the first blood. You know, 1st-Vietnam going to respond kind by pushing out the bottom lane. The glyph is online, so I don't know if Gameware will decide to use the glyph. I mean, they're not in position to defend it, but maybe they want to delay the push. But I think at this point, 1st-Vietnam can just start pushing it for the tier 2. And actually, curious enough, the Dire Sports remained on the top lane. They're going to try to pick up experience. But I think their tier 2 will take a significant amount of damage, especially with the Nature's Prophet coming in. And Nature's Prophet will have a really, really fast Midas with the help of that tower push, as Nature's Prophet usually does not pick up Midas until level 8 or level 9. But since he went for the straight up jungling build, and since he was able to claim a very early tower, this tower is going to be a lot of dangers. Nature's Prophet can potentially get going a lot more sooner than previously anticipated. As the Dire, they're going to go this tower, but it seems like they're not even moving to defend this. I don't know if this is the right choice, but even if they did rotate, how would they actually defend? That's a real question. He's going to secure himself a haste rune. I mean, that's all well and good, but the Dire just gave up 2 towers for free against the likes of Jackcraft and Nature's Prophet. Heroes that definitely want to take advantage of the space. And Viper's continuing to farm. Has put 3 points in another Toxin. Not too sure why. I guess to help him last hit, and I guess against like the Queen of Pain and Darkseer, it is sort of difficult to hunt people down with the poison attack. But you sort of want to have that aggro-free harassment capability that poison attack can give you, especially with Viper. A hero can just use that ability over and over again, and even, I mean, Darkseer and Queen of Pain won't always be there on the map. So I guess this Viper just wants to lane forever and just let his team do the majority of the muscle work. I'm not too sure, but you can see Nature's probably just farming up pretty much unchecked at this stage. And Alchemist, he's finished his phase boots. But I don't know, this Nature's probably feel like will become a problem very, very soon. A lot sooner than you'd expect Nature's probably to become a problem on the map. You know, the side of Gameware going to be driven away as the Trine for the Radiant have rotated in. Just checking out the levels. I'd expect the Dire to have a bit more levels on this part, and you can see the Nyx is actually a little bit ahead, but actually Rick has managed to catapult himself back. This is because of the Dire. I think we're able to get more creepos, but now the Shouting going to be a lot of trouble. The telekinesis is going down. The Grave Chill will be used as well, and I think Shouting is most certainly going to die, as Soul Assumption will take in here because the Nature's probably teleport, and Soul Assumption will secure the last hit. Impale is going to come in as Queen of Pain will pick up the last hit on the Nature's Prophet, but here comes the Viper. Going to get the Viper Strike off from the Queen of Pain, but little did he realize the Queen of Pain has a haste rune. One more tick of the Viper Strike would have been able to kill off the Queen of Pain, but unfortunately for the Viper, just simply was not enough. And Viper going to go straight to a Mecha Rush. Wow, this is not something you see every day, but I guess 1st-Vietnam want to just push in the early game since Alchemist had such enormous free farm presence that they want to fight ASAP, and Viper is a strong early game fighter, especially when you max another Toxin as your first ability. And he doesn't really use mana that often, but he is a bit mana starved, but I guess since he isn't getting those 3 points of poison attack, he will have more mana to expend in general, and so he should be able to survive long enough to cast the mechanism in a lot of engagements. I don't know if I agree with this build, but it is a build that some people do prefer. On Nature's Prophet, he did die, only 28 CS in the bank, as there will be a gank attempt on the Viper most likely. The Dire supports are smoked up, and they are going to run right by a Radiant Observer Ward. And you can see, I think Viper did know something is up. He is playing much more defensively than usual, but here comes the engagement as Viper, oh, he's going to expose himself to too much danger. Here comes the disruption, and Queen of Pain has the ultimate. This Viper is most certainly going to die. The Sonic Wave will be dropped, and one more hit will secure the kill. So Viper just really not having a good time thus far in this game. You know, Darkseer, I've got to imagine, is going to farm up for a similar item, the mechanism. You know, Alchemist decided to go for 2-2-2 build, not something you see every day, but wants to have that extra point to acid spray to slow down the pushing capabilities of the Radiant. So I understand the skill build. I don't know if I agree with it, since I mean, I guess he's not really farming that well to justify more levels since Great was good. So yeah, in retrospect, I do like this build. I mean, it shows that he's not just blindly picking up the skill, but he's instead choosing his skills based on the situation at hand. But I don't know if he has enough mana to repeatedly spam the acid spray, as he is going to pick up the Claymore, and he's going to go for that Shadow Blade, which is pretty standard on Alchemist. The Dire are going to rotate a lot of supports in, and the Dire will be able to get a D-ward off with the Shouting and Visage, trying to get in position to usher away the Shouting, but now they don't have any vision, they can't drop the Grave Chill. And actually Shouting has a bunch of set of tangos to try to help the Alchemist Solace and Nyx Assassin up as much as possible. You know, Darkseer creep skipping, as Nature's Prophet did teleport himself into the top lane, so the Dire won't be able to kill off this tower immediately, but slowly but surely this tower will get chipped down. And Darkseer has to teleport if he wants to get himself back into the fray for the top lane engagement. You know, Viper gonna scout out the Darkseer very, very soon, but again, really can't kill the Darkseer because he has a TP and he has a Surge, and there's honestly nothing Viper can do. Instead, Viper just gonna slowly flap his wings all the way towards the bottom lane. Viper, I mean, his biggest flaw, I mean, besides single target focus, is that he's so slow. Oh my god, 285 base movement speed. It's such an aggravating thing to have as a mid-hero who likes to have that extra mobility, but this is probably the slowest mid-hero in the game, but Alchemist can get himself lifted. Just a bit of harassing, gonna drive him back, gonna force him to use Chemical Rage, and that might allow the Rain to go back in once Chemical Rage is down. And Nature's probably just gonna farm the jungle of the Dire right in front of their faces. I'm not too sure who's coming out ahead when this is all said and done. I've got to mention the Dire are coming out ahead, since Queen of Pain is just farming uncontested and Darkseer really can't be stopped by the Viper in terms of farming of his mecha. And you can see the Darkseer going to pick up the mecha in about 15 gold. And with that, that's just going to give heroes like Alchemist and Queen of Pain so much survivability. And especially with, I mean, only one stun, or one reliable stun in the first Vietnam squad to lock people in place. Viper continue to farm. He will have his own mechanism up relatively soon. If we check out the overall CS, you can see Darkseer and Alchemist are actually on top of the leaderboard in that regard. You know, Nature's Star gonna go for that split pushing oriented build. And one thing good about the game, or one thing good about the first Vietnam squad, is that there aren't really any heroes on the side of Gameware. Alchemist is gonna get engaged upon. Here comes the Fable. Defensive disruption will be popped as Sonic Wave will be used on a multitude of heroes. A tactical pause coming in for Rubik as the Visage is gonna disconnect. Very unfortunate news as he was able to charge up an almost fully stocked Soul Assumption. And I think this Alchemist most likely would have died with Misa rotating in. I don't know who he dropped the Viper Strike on. It looks like he dropped it on the Alchemist. But now I guess we're just going to hear that annoying breathing of the Alchemist. So instead I'm going to focus my camera elsewhere. But Darkseer, he can teleport himself to the top lane if he wants to help, and I think he should help. Nature's Prophet can teleport himself to the top lane as well once he gets enough mana, and he should be in the thick of things very, very soon if he chooses to go that route. You know, Shadow Demon has 3 points of poison, and he can do a lot of damage in AoE if he decides to do just that. You know, unfortunately for Viper, he was forced to take this engagement without getting his mecha online, so this Gyrocopter is definitely dead. I think this Alchemist is likely to die if Visage can get in position to drop his Soul Assumption off at a crucial point. Unfortunately for Visage, he just managed to hit level 5. I don't know if he's going to be able to get that extra point to Soul Assumption. I don't know how that works if the Soul Assumption charges. I gotta imagine that once you scale up the skill point, the Soul Assumption charges remain the same, so your damage output is increased. So we'll see if Visage does scale up that skill point to Soul Assumption. That might be all the difference in terms of gauging upon the Alchemist. As Visage is going to reconnect, and this is a very, very dangerous moment for both teams. Queen of Pain has already expended a lot of her nukes, and Viper is still at a decent amount of HP. The Screen Pain has yet ticked down that Viper. You know, Rubik got full HP, but unfortunately for him, does not have spell steal, so he can't steal a very important spell. As here comes the engagement, the Alchemist looks like he will survive for now. Visage not able to drop that Soul Assumption, and you know, they were the ones who disconnected. Actually, Nick Assassin gonna find himself in a lot of trouble, but here comes the Darkseer. He's got into position with the mecha online as Viper is still remaining around trying to do whatever he can. He does have the Nether Toxin. He's actually doing quite a bit of damage. That Nether Toxin, of course, does more damage the lower the target's HP is, and it seems like 1st Vietnam are able to recover thus far. And here comes the engagement. Will Rubik surge the Gyrocopter forwards? No, it looks like that's better against it. So in the end, it's a 3-for-3 engagement. I think Gyrocopter bought back. I've got to imagine he bought back.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Yep, he did buy back. So in the end, that did favor Gameware by a decent amount, but keep in mind,
Dire's middle
well, it
tower
looks like the
is
Rain were
under
able to get the
attack.
mechanism shipped towards the Viper. I guess the courier was coming in, and I failed to notice that. My bad. But, I mean, the Rain could have done so much more. They could have dropped a Soul Assumption on the Alchemist, kill him off. They killed off the Alchemist in the end, so I guess that's okay. But Viper is starting to become a very scary beast. I guess the next Nether Toxin build, when teams are just clustered around fighting for a long time, that Nether Toxin just does so much damage in the early game when the HP pools are very, very low. And this Viper was able to secure himself a double kill, and we're going to see what he decides to go for next. Will he go back into Corrosive Skin? I mean, he is almost level 10. And I don't know if the 4th point of the Poison Tech is necessary against the likes of Gameware's lineup, but he is going to get that 4th point. I'm still a fan. I'm still an advocate of getting Corrosive Skin max stuff, but it seems like nobody pays attention, and I'm sad. You know, Alchemist is going to continue to farm up. Is getting very close to finishing his Shadow Blade.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
You know, his counterpart carry, the Gyrocopter, has Ogre Club, going to rush that BKB, and oops, random thing happened for my stream. I'm not too sure exactly what happened. Hopefully it didn't crash. Anyways, nothing on the side of Gameware does go through BKB, which is very good news, aside from the Demonic Purge. I gotta imagine you want to use the Demonic Purge on heroes like the Visage, or the Furion, as well as the Viper. As Furion gonna find himself killed off in the jungle, the mighty jungle. The Furion does not sleep tonight. Meanwhile, Darks are getting really farmed. They're gonna go into that pipe build, and I don't know how useful pipe will actually be in this game, since there's actually a lot of physical damage being pumped out. Maybe this will just be a casual cloak to try to help himself against the Visage as well as Rubik damage, but outside of that, there's really not too much magical damage being pumped out by the side of 1st-Vietnam. And it seems like the Rain will be able to get a tower trade, but the Dire were able to claim some form of gold, which is good news for them. As now Alchemist will have a Shadow Blade shipped towards him. And they're going to continue to push. They're going to drop a Wrath of Nature. Wrath of Nature usually is not dropped in pushing in the early game because it does a lot of damage, so you should probably save it for team fights. And considering they're pushing the tier 2, I would have Wrath of Nature's probably actually saved it, as Darkseer will rotate himself in. Will he drop a Vacuum? He does have level 4 to Vacuum at one point in the wall, so you can pull targets in from a mile away. And I'm not too sure why the Radiant are sticking around. It seems like they want to take this engagement, recognizing that there are still 2 people mid, but Nick Assassin gonna get a surge forward. Visage gonna get his teleport to cancel Crimson Vacuum. Will the wall be dropped? The Darkseer not gonna drop the wall. Seems like he's in town conserving his mana. Mecha will be popped, preserving the life of Nick Assassin for now, as Gyrocopter's trying to go in, trying to pick off the Nick Assassin, but is just gonna be completely surrounded. He is likely gonna die, as Nick Assassin gonna be searched away to safety. There isn't enough mana on the Nyx, but the Shadow Poison gonna constantly do damage to the words of Gyrocopter. He's looking to teleport out of there. Darkseer does have the Vacuum online. Gyrocopter just gonna barely escape. Very good news for him. In the end, I'm not too sure why the Radiant decided to stick around. They had ward control. Maybe that's why they chose to take that engagement. But you've got to recognize when, well, very close for the Viper. He was getting, that tower is getting very close to being denied. And the Radiant have been able to secure a number of towers for themselves, and you can see that has allowed them to pull ahead in terms of the gold department, but the experience graph tells a different tale, which shows us that the game is relatively even, all things considered. Meanwhile, Gyrocopter going to secure his BK recipe rather than getting a Mithril Hammer online. I mean, I don't know why he just didn't save up for the Mithril Hammer. I guess in that jungle engagement, he just bought the BKB recipe rather than risking losing the gold. So if that's the case, then a good play by the Gyrocopter. But the Radiant gonna have their top tower pressured. We're gonna see another teleport by the Viper trying to defend this tower, as he himself is gonna go for Cloak, and the Cloak for Viper makes a lot of sense since Viper obviously wants to tank up. And yes, of course, he's going to do that, but there's a significantly higher magical presence on the side of Dire than there is on the Radiant. Meanwhile, Nature's Prophet, his experience growth has slowed down significantly, but has now got that second point in Wrath of Nature, so now the pushing is becoming even more of a problem. And Alchemist, I guess this mix and match skill build is starting to lose its luster when not many teamfights are breaking out. 4-9 is the score in favor of Gameware, but Gameware are in danger of being outfarmed, as Queen of Pain gonna get herself into position, will secure the kill. Good engagement by the Nyx Assassin, as Nature's Prophet will try to get in position. Here comes the telekinesis onto the next. Queen of Pain should just look to get the heck out of there, as Shockwave gonna add insult to the injury. Nyx Assassin tried to deny himself to crease, but Nature's Prophet gonna be more than happy to snatch up the kill. But in the end, very much worth it for the Dire, since they were able to get a kill on the carry. Meanwhile, Viper gonna get the Viper strike off, as Darkseer surged away, gonna teleport out of there. And such is the tragedy of Viper. Teleport scrolls kind of own his soul for free. Meanwhile, just check out the supports on the Siren. You can see Urn of Shadows up on Rubik. That's going to give him a nice amount of HP. Has been able to get a spell steal up on this Spike Carapace. Not really the best spell to steal, but I mean, it's a spell nonetheless. It seems like the Rain looking for engagement. They're going to Shadow Blade up their Nature's Prophet. They do have a ward in the jungle, as they are going to spot the movement of the Alchemist, but there are a lot of heroes on the side of Dire fortifying themselves, and Alchemist going to find himself dusted. He is going to be in big trouble. Darks are going to get the Vacuum. Will the wall be dropped? The wall is going to drop, but it's going to be very late. Alchemist is going to get himself defensively disrupted. Queen of Pain just cleaning up houses on a killing spree, and meanwhile Viper is going to be the next one to fall. Just dies in a matter of instances. Alchemist actually going to kill himself, choosing to end his cruel existence rather than giving that extra big goal towards Rain, and now the Rain are in a lot of trouble because that Queen of Pain is starting to become a huge problem. She's going to have her BKB finished up relatively soon, and then she can start going for some major items, whether it be Hex or, I don't know, even Orchid, or even some damage items could potentially be the case. But, I mean, all things considered for Rain, they got what they came for. They got their Alchemist, and Nature's probably still able to farm up, as well as Gyrocopter. So it's not the worst engagement for the Rain, but Queen of Pain is starting to become a huge problem. You know, Darkseer, I'm glad they didn't finish the pipe, instead going for a Staff of Wizardry. Seems like he's intent on finishing the 4th staff, as Nature's Prophet, I think, trying to D-ward, or trying to snipe out the courier, but was not successful, and now just has to look to escape on out of there, as the Familiars will just guard his back, stunning anybody who comes his way. You know, Gyrocopter will have his own BKB finished relatively soon, and I don't know if they're even will look to fight with this BKB purchase, since, again, I don't know if they can fight the Dire, since the Dire have such an immense experience advantage at this stage. And Viper, he is going to go for the pipe. Again, the pipe on the side of the Rain makes a lot more sense. And now Viper's starting to get more and more points across skin, so he's actually very difficult to bring down, but Viper's main drawback is his lack of mobility, and you can see that is really costing him against the likes of Darkseer, as well as Queen of Pain.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
You know, Nature's Prophet just continue to farm up, but there's going to be a surge engagement. Here comes the Nyx Assassin propelling himself forward. The Impale will land squarely on the Nature's Prophet face, and the Vendetta will help secure the kill. Darkseer actually picks up a mega kill streak, and Darkseer is becoming very farm. And the tragedy of Nature's Prophet will commence for the next 35 seconds because his minus is up, and he was unable to use it. So that means his minus will be on cooldown for, or off cooldown for quite a long time, where I'm sure Nature's Prophet is obviously toying with the idea of buying back, but unfortunately for him, can't buy back and can't use that minus. Meanwhile, the levels on the side of carries on both teams are quite low. Alchemist actually has been able to catch up in terms of levels, as he is now level 11. Meanwhile, Gyrocopter, despite him firing for a reasonable amount of time, is only level 10. You can see those deaths have really cost him quite a bit. This game has started to slow down, but Ace is going to finish his BKB, and that means Queen of Pain can literally not be stopped at this stage, as the Familiar is going to try to hunt down this courier. The courier doesn't have the speed boost online. The Familiars, a couple more barrages will finish out the courier. Visage Familiars. Oh no, Queen of Pain going to draw the aggro. Very, very good play by the Queen of Pain, as those Familiars would have to continue animation canceling. So good recognition by the Dire to preserve the life of the couriers. Viper's going to come with Ace, who's going to force out the Vendetta. Are they really going to look for a fight? Queen of Pain simply can't be stopped. She has a 10-second BKB. I don't know if this is a good fight for the Rain, but it seems like they want to make something happen. They know they're in a bit of a deficit, and they have the BKB themselves finished on the Gyrocopter. As Dire randomly glyph up for no apparent reason, but here comes a backstab attempt by the Nyx Assassin. There isn't any detection, but the Iron Shell will reveal the presence of the Nyx Assassin. Here comes the vacuum wall, gonna catch everybody. Gyrocopter looking to do as much damage as possible. Queen of Pain will immediately kill off the Visage, and there goes a huge source of damage, as Gyrocopter just simply can't do enough. It's not enough. Telekinesis? Nope. For Scream Pain, I'm gonna say otherwise. And now the Scourge just looking in a really, really dominating position. Oh man, the Impale luckily managed to find out the Rubik, and I think the Dire are well on the way towards evening up the series 1-1, as Nature's Prophet is trying to do his best job delaying the tier 1 push, but it just, again, won't be enough, as Viper gonna go in. The Familiars will stun Ace in place for a little bit, as Ace gonna get teleported on by the Nature's Prophet. He's gonna look to teleport out there, and he will be able to do so successfully, as the Dire will be able to secure a tower. You know, Darkseer could be in a bit of trouble. Will find himself slowed down, as he is gonna force staff himself and surge himself out to safety. And again, a really, really successful engagement being won by the Dire in this game. Now I've got to imagine the Dire have taken the gold advantage and the experience advantage, starting to get to that very scary 10k deficit for the Radiant. And you can see that Queen of Pain is just able to do so much, and the Dire do have an Observer in place there. They are going to see the rotation of the Radiant towards Roshan, despite the Radiant trying to do their best ninja efforts. And Queen of Pain could potentially blink in, going to do a lot of damage to the Vortex Visage, but already used her blink defensively. And meanwhile, Alchemist going to charge in with the Ion Shell. Will he drop the stun? He has not charged up a stun just yet. The Finland is doing a lot of damage. His Ace looking to initiate. He's going to pop his BK. He already took a lot of damage. Doesn't have the Sonic Wave online. This could be a mistake by the Queen of Pain. Going to take a Viper Strike, which does go through BKB, but Alchemist is able to kill off the Rubik. Meanwhile, the wall is just doing so much damage. This Darkseer is becoming a huge problem. And again, there's just not enough disables on the side of the Radiant. The Dire are just able to teleport from underneath the Radiant noses. And Darkseer, these 4 staff, are just playing tricks on the side of the Radiant. Seems like Alchemist will give up his life. An Alchemist 4-2 support's probably worth it for the Radiant, but still, you can see the struggles that they're having at this stage in the game. Keep in mind, Queen of Pain fought that entire engagement without using Sonic Wave since it was on cooldown from the previous engagement. I don't know if this tower can be defended though. Sonic Wave is back online. Seems like the Radiant going to back off for now. I don't think they're at a sufficient level of HP to possibly bring down this tower, but Ace going to look to engage perhaps as Shadow Poison will scout out the Gyrocopter. And Gyrocopter just going to teleport out of the Impale. Not going to be used. So a good engagement being one of the Radiant. They got a tier 2 and they got the Alchemist in exchange for 2 supports. Very much worth it. And Viper is starting to get close to his pipe. So the Radiant are still in this game. It's going to look very difficult, however, as Nature's Prophet, his farm has slowed down significantly despite getting a 5-minute minus. He's just not been able to have that much of a presence as he's obviously hoped to have.
Dire's top tower
And pushing tier 2s is a complete different matter than pushing the base, because pushing into the base of the Dire means you're going to have to run into a choke point against Darkseer, which is obviously the best position Darkseer wants to be in, so you can get the vacuum wall up. You're going to be constantly facing Shadow Poison and Acid Spray and Mana Burns and Impales. I don't know. I don't think the range should push in to try to break the tier 3s just yet. I think they should just take this map control and farm with it, which is odd considering Alchemist and Darkseer can make great usage of this farm, but I really don't see any way that the Radiant can feasibly break the Dire base unless they get very, very lucky and just kill off the Darkseer in a matter of milliseconds. Meanwhile, Alchemist getting very close to finishing his AC. We'll have it up in about 600 gold or so. Next Assassin getting very close to his own Blink Dagger. The item choices on the side of the Dire are starting to get to the point where it's very scary. And actually, Darkseer did finish his pipe. Again, not sure why, but he did finish it, and that's going to give him a bit of extra survivability against the likes of Wrath of Nature, Visage, and Call Down, I suppose. You know, Nature's probably going to pick up an Ogre Club. It seems like he is intent on going the BKB. I don't know if he... I think he should go for more of a split pushing base build, since I don't know how much damage he can do even with the BKB online. I mean, his right click damage at this stage is only 105, which is really not the most impressive. As Rubik gonna scuttle himself in, as there will be engagement trying to pick off the Dire. They will likely kill off the Shoudian, as Rubik looking to initiate the teleport by the Nature's Prophet was cancelled, but here comes the telekinesis onto the Shoudian. We'll be able to drop the defense disruption. We'll see if the Dire want to defend this. Shoudian will most certainly die, but it does drop his Purge. Backing wall gonna be utilized. Darkseer just going in, as it seems like, I'm not too sure who's coming out ahead. I think the Radiant are actually coming out ahead, surprisingly enough, as this Viper is just so tanky. He's just slowly trudging on forward, just not going to be stopped by anybody. The stun is going to catch both of the heroes on the side of the Radiant. Really, really poor positioning, and Alchemist is just going to clean up shop. So some over-aggressive behavior by the side of 1st-Vietnam going to cost him a team fight. As Nature's Prophet, he already died, he bought back, and he's just going to die again, and now the Dire have taken a huge event. And man, I just noticed that Rubik stole the wall. As that looked so good for the forces of the Radiant at the beginning, but in the end, they crumbled as that stun by the Alchemist, catching both of the carries on the side of the Radiant, just really, really ended any hope of the Radiant winning that fight. Now the Dire, with the help of that spray in the AC, is going to be able to completely kill off the Zoshan without any remorse. And now hopefully the Radiant will realize, alright, we can't actually fight them now. It's just going to be way too hard, especially with the Aegis online. I think we've got to farm up. But I don't know if it's a bit too late at this stage, as the Finlanders were killed off. And now, side of the Dire, Goldgraph favoring them. Keep in mind the Dire have only claimed 2 towers, whereas the Radiant have claimed 5. So that's why the Goldgraph is so close. But the Experience Graph spelling a different story on how this game should be told. And Alchemist gonna go right back into the BKB. I mean, the only thing that goes through BKB on the side of the Rain are, I think, the Familiar Stuns as well as the Viper Strike. I'm always unsure if Familiar Stuns actually go through BKB. I always am under the impression that it does, but I could be mistaken.
Illusion.
Nature's probably gonna finish his BKB up relatively soon. Always has his minus up for some odd reason. Won't be able to get the stack off, so his gold intake will be diminished. But I don't think the Rain will really mind. I think they've got to farm up. And Viper's gonna have the pipe up relatively soon. That will mitigate a large portion of Queen of Pain's DPS, but the Rain gonna smoke up, and I don't know if that Dire Ward did spot out that smoke attempt. I think it might have just caught the outskirts of that smoke attempt since the Dire are playing so passively at this stage. And we're going to have to see if the Rain will fall for the bait. They are going to engage upon the Alchemist. The Alchemist is Aegis. They're going to burn a Viper Strike as well. Here comes Darkseer surging forward. Defensive Disruption will forestall the Alchemist's usage of the Aegis at this point. And now the Purge will be dropped on the Gyrocopter. Will the Dire actually be able to recover this team fight? In the end, it's going to be an even exchange as Queen of Pain try and get Precision to kill off the Gyrocopter. Pale will be dropped. Wrath of Nature doing a huge chunk of damage, but Furion is going to pay for that with his life, as well as Visage. I don't know why the Rain are actually fighting. I'm honestly befuddled, as they're not even going to kill the Shadian. No, they are going to kill the Shadian. One more attack by the Viper will clean up the kill. But they got a Shadian. They trade for it with Visage, Nature's Prophet, as well as the Viper. And that was not a fight that the Rain should have taken anyways, so I'm not too sure why they went for it. I mean, the best case scenario was that they burned BKB and they would have gotten away with everything. But now BKB was drained, 3 heroes were killed off, and now the Dire have taken even more of an advantage at this stage. As now Alchemist has finished his BKB, and that means he's going to be magically immune for the next 10 seconds or so. Or for 10 seconds when he does decide to utilize it. And Queen of Pain, with those extra bit of kills, getting very close to finishing her Hex Darkseer. Getting close to finishing his own Hex, Shadow Demon. Getting close to finishing whatever item he decides to go for, whether it be a Ghost Scepter or a Force Staff. Likely a Ghost Scepter in this case. And Nick Assassin has now secured his Blink Dagger. You know, the Rain see Shadow Demon. Hopefully they decide we shouldn't go in for him. Because, I mean, they don't know where anybody else on the side of the Dire quite where they are. Nature's probably has to be gave, but again, I'm very, very skeptical on how much this will actually accomplish, since Nature's probably himself does not do much damage in an engagement, and of course he can just get purged out and just get slowed down. And I'm wondering when Dire will decide to group up and push, because now they have a huge advantage. I've got to imagine that they're going to push once they finish their hexes, since Darkseer is very close to finishing his, and Queen of Pain will have hers up relatively soon as well. So at that point, I think the Dire will look to push in, and then perhaps try to end the game. But as this pause goes through, keep in mind this is another presentation of the AMD Premier League Season 2 in association with Dota Talk. I'm Bballin. Check me out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Bballin773. If you want daily Dota content, do subscribe to YouTube. But yep, thanks for joining me here as the pause is going to go through. Seems like, I don't know, I can't understand Vietnamese, but I've got to imagine there's a lag spike since no player disconnected. But either way, since there wasn't any action happening, the lag spike will be obviously excused. Meanwhile, the Dire just continue to farm up. Again, they want their hexes, and I think Queen of Pain will have her hex finished up at this stage. Well, she's going to have the ultimate orb finished up. Instead, she's going to go for Shiva's. Interesting choice, going for the Shiva's Guard rather than going for the hex. Maybe they feel like they have enough to disable. Maybe they feel like we don't really need to hex the Gyrocopter in Nature's Prophet. But Shiva's Guard will, of course, increase Queen of Pain's survivability. I mean, she's already very survivable with that BKB. And the attack speed reduction going to be useful against Lex and Viper as well as Gyrocopter. Not too sure why she decided for Shiv's Guard. Maybe she wanted to get a more impactful item at this stage rather than just farm up a little bit more, but she would have been able to finish the Hex up relatively soon at this rate anyways. But that Ice Blast damage from the Shiv's Guard is also very, very useful.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
You know, Darkseer getting very close to finishing his own Hex as the Dire gonna push in, gonna try to get two towers with this Aegis, which is timing out relatively soon. But that is just gonna free up an item slot for the Alchemist as this tier 2 will fall and they're probably unable to mount a similar presence in the mid lane. So the Dire are gonna get themselves even more gold as well as more map control. And the rank just simply can't do anything but sit back and watch. And Gyrocopter is going to pick up the Demon Edge. I don't think he can even go for the Rapier Rush because I don't think he's taking enough to withstand the barrage of damage that's coming his way from GW. And the BKB duration is too short to justify a Rapier purchase at this stage, especially since he's only level 13. Just not too many stats to toy around with. The Aegis is now timed out for the Dire. You can see the Shouting did decide to go for the Ghost Scepter in the end. Again, makes all the sense in the world against likes of Viper, Nature's Prophet, as well as Gyrocopter. And Darkseer going to finish his Hex up in the next 400 to 500 gold, assuming, of course, he's given some space to farm up Alchemist. 4k gold in the bank. Not too sure what he's going to go for. Could potentially go for Basher or a Heart, depending on what the Dire want to do. He's going to go for the Basher, so it seems like the Dire want to fight rather than farm up. But the range is going to play super passively at this stage, and this looks to hit a little bit of a dull point at this match because both teams don't really want to engage. The Die have a huge advantage, but they don't have any significant item progression outside of the Shiva's Guard since the last engagement. So without the Aegis, they don't feel as confident, especially since Alchemist does not have a Heart. He does have a lot of armor with the AC being provided to him, but outside of that, he's still, I mean, he's not easy to bring down, but he still can be brought down. Meanwhile, Darks are going to face the Hex. You can see Queen of Pain stuck on the high ground, has another 2200 gold in the bank, as she's getting very close to finishing the next big items. That most likely will be Hex. I mean, if she goes for E-Blade, I'll be stunned. And Radiant, I mean, Radiant have no choice. They can only farm up. They can't really hope to engage the Dire. But I won't give the Radiant too many openings. They still have a Fury and still have a Gyrocopter. And if this game goes too late, Gyrocopter could potentially build up a Rapier. Gotta think he's going for MKB as the next item since, again, I don't think he's taking enough to justify a Rapier choice against the likes of Alchemist and Quap, who can just do a lot of damage very, very quickly, especially with only a 6-second BKB online for the Gyrocopter. But slowly but surely, Gyrocopter's going to get himself built up. Viper's going to be more annoying to bring down, and the Nature's Prophet will get more and more farmed. And you can see that's starting to become a reality as he is getting very close to finishing his own BKB. The good thing for the Dire, I mean, besides them having a massive, massive edge, they also have a 10-second BKB up on the Alchemist, so the Alchemist will be able to do whatever he wants for 10 seconds at the very least, assuming, of course, he doesn't get Viper Strike. Both teams, once again, just going to farm up. Maybe the Dire waiting for Roshan, which is going to respawn relatively soon in about 1.5 minutes at this rate. Yeah, Alchemist gonna be able to pick up the Aegis once again. Probably gonna sell the Teleport or the Shadow Blade. I don't really see. I've got to think he's gonna get the Aegis and then he can just start seizing towers. Pop the ultimate, seize the tower for a bit, Lifesteal style, and then just back off if he feels himself in a bit of danger, and then just re-engage when he feels it's safe to do just that. You know, next is secure himself a gem, and the Dire are going to smoke up. They're looking to get somebody killed off before Roshan respawns so they can take Roshan a bit more safely. But seems like they aren't going to be lucky enough to find anybody, as Viper going to be able to rotate himself through, walking back towards teams, and Roshan will respawn. Nature's probably going to secure himself the Aegis rather than saving for Bayak. I like this choice because I don't know how much a Bayak Nature's probably would do. And the Radiant going to get themselves in position. They're going to smoke up themselves. They're looking for a pickoff for Roshan, but I don't know. Will they find one? That's the question. They're going to find Darkseer. And he's already used the Surge, but here comes Hex. I don't know what's going on with my Dota, but the wall will be dropped as well. Here comes this wall. It's going to be stolen once again by the Rubik. Queen Pain doing a lot of damage. Will drop the Sonic Blade. Will immediately kill off the Rubik. And now Gyrocopter going to be driven away. The wall's crisscrossing all over the place as Viper going to be in grave danger. He's going to get bashed once. He's going to get bashed twice. Going to get stunned up instead, and Viper will die. And I think this will be a successful Roshan being won by the Dire. But they're going to have to defend their tier 2, and they are going to do just that with the Queen of Pain. And unfortunately for Nature's Prophet, even the Hex, he doesn't have enough damage to bring down this Quap. So this should be another free Roshan. Gyrocopter. Did he burn a BKB? He did not, at the very least, so he still has a 6-second BKB. And Gyrocopter, instantly enough, not going to buy out the MKB. I guess he is going to go for the Rapier. And his team is obviously in a very desperate situation. So maybe he thinks, like, even if I get an MKB, we're still going to lose. I mean, at least with the Rapier, we might have a shot. But the Dire are going to claim the Roshan. Now this Alchemist is impossible to bring down. And he has an Abyssal Blade online, so he can just run up to the Gyrocopter. And I think he can tank a surprisingly healthy portion of the Gyrocopter Rapier damage. And then just go in an Abyssal. Nick Sasson will spot out the movement of the Nature's Prophet, and Nature's Prophet will most certainly die. He's going to try and BKB teleport out, but Abyssal just says lol to that. So Nature's Prophet going to get killed off. And without the Nature's Prophet, without him having buyback, the Dire can pretty much push freely since the rain won't really be able to push as fast as they possibly could hope to achieve without the Nature's Prophet being live. You know, Hex has been finished on the Darkseer Queen of Pain, getting something delivered to her very shortly. It is going to be Hex as well. So, even if Gyrocopter secures himself the Rapier, which it looks like he is doing, I don't know how much it'll actually do, as he is going to pick up the Sacred Relic. We are going to see the Rapier Gyrocopter that we all know and love. The question is, I don't know if it'll actually have any effect in this game. Alchemist is going to charge in very bravely, looking to kill off the Rubik at the beginning of the fight. Viper Strike will be utilized on the Alchemist. Again, he has not utilized BKB, as Rapier Gyrocopter is now in the fray. Mecha will be used. Gyrocopter will drop the call down. Will they have initiation, as Alchemist taking a huge chunk of damage? Does not have the ultimate, but still has his Aegis online. Darkseer trying to get in position to get off a good vacuum wall, but Gyrocopter going to find himself hexed up, and this might be a Rapier loss. He's going to pop the BKB, and Nick Sasson will secure a kill on the Rubik, and you can see the damage potential on the side of the Dire just absolutely a menace. The Rapier has been dropped, and this should be GG for the forces of the Radiant. Well, I guess Visage has the Rapier, so I mean, if they lose this barracks, they can give the Rapier right back to the Gyro, but I've got to imagine. Well, Dire can't actually claim the barracks middle, since they don't have the tier 2 mid. But if they want to rotate to the throne, they could potentially do just that. And 1st-Vietnam recognizing their beat, they're gonna just call GG. As even if Gyrocopter got himself the Rapier once again from the Visage, I honestly don't see a way that Gyrocopter could potentially survive a fight against the mass onslaught of Hexes, as well as Abyssals coming his way. So that's going to be the end for Game 2, so the series is now tied up 1-1. Both games relatively uneven. Hopefully we'll get a very exciting, very close ace match. But we're going to see if 1st-Vietnam can channel some of their inner Game 1, or Gameware will be able to retain this momentum heading into Game 3. By the way, a good game as Gyrocopter couldn't find himself in a lot of trouble once again. This has been a presentation from the AMD Premier League Season 2, the Vietnamese final qualifiers. And this has been B-Ballin casting with the help of Dota Talk. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Please follow me, B-Ballin703 on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all that jazz. And hopefully I'll be able to join you guys very, very soon, as Visage is not yet disconnected, but Throne has been exposed. So this game should end relatively soon. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that game, as we are coming back with Game 3 relatively soon. Series tied 1-1, and it's unsure which team will be able to claim the victory, because both games have been relatively one-sided thus far. So we'll find out very shortly. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see y'all very, very soon. Peace.